great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Monday, December 29th, and I don't mean the weather. The year of our Lord 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, broadcasting today from what is the United States of America. I could prove it, because my president works on Sundays. It's also the place where the brave, like the veterans we salute today, thanks to our man John Basiliga and his great Eastern roofing systems, like Edward Dudek, Hazelton, Donald Olsemer, Sterling, David Maroney, Waverly, Louis Febo, Old Forge, Spencer Vincent, Hughesville, and Robert McCreary, Orangeville. Veterans we lost this year but celebrate today, thanks to John. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible, amazing, irreplaceable founding fathers, who told us and established the fact that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It was nothing that could be parceled out to groups. Freedom couldn't be controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, uniquely and for the first time in history, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that because of our commitment to common sense, we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all who listen for the balance of this morning. And yes, they are all insane out there. Please remember that. Yeah, the whole political party has gone bonkers. You don't even know what the reaction, like, what do you say to these people? What do you say? They just want to do everything the opposite of that which is true. We're talking about this disgraceful fool, and we're going to have Bo Dietl on soon to talk about this new mayor. But you know, it's funny. I don't want to do predictions about the new mayor, but back to Brandon Johnson, Chicago. 26 shootings, 6 dead over the holiday. I mean, and the carnage just continues under this jackass. I mean, these are people. Unbelievable. But see, the agenda, you've got to remember for the left, the agenda is more important than anybody. If you get killed, so be it, as long as we're pursuing our sick, twisted political agenda. Well, let's go back to better subjects. I had a really beautiful Christmas weekend. I'm exhausted. We did the Christmas Eve. Well, the Bulldog and I were here Christmas Eve. And then a friend of mine who has a party every year, and I was sort of relieved he didn't have it. But we didn't have that, and then went to church up at Immaculate Conception, and which is in my hood. I'm actually a member of St. Anthony's Church, which I'm guilty when I go to Immaculate Conception instead, or the cathedral. And so we had the great Christmas Eve, which was a blast. And then Cutie's family is still at my house when I'm done with that because they go to 10 o'clock Mass. And so the evening continued. And then, I get into with two of my sons, and we're up till 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. So Christmas morning was sleep and recovery. And we go to Cutie's brother's Christmas evening, and that was beautiful. And then Friday, and what happened? Oh, Friday. Friday, there was a surprise birthday party for a dear friend of ours at a new spot it's not open, but it took place in the location. This great restaurant called the Altar House up in the Summit is opening. I guess you would call it a branch in downtown Scranton. And we were in that space, which was great. And went to the Scranton Club with my man Charlie Jefferson and had some cigars. But I mean, doesn't it get exhausting? It's actually still exhausting thinking about it. Saturday, our friend Billy took us to Rinaldi's, which was outstanding. And of course, I had my stop at Adara, which was great. And yesterday, went to my sons and my daughters in from Sacramento, so we hung around watching football and hanging around. But it's exhausting. It really is. And I'm away next week on vacation. So I don't know, Bulldog, are we in? No, I think we're off Friday, right? He's nodding his head. So we'll be here. Are we here New Year's Eve? Is that a holiday, Bulldog? Oh, Bulldog's taking off. All right. I think I am too, but we'll see. But anyway, I'm here today and tomorrow. I'm here today. And I'm looking forward. We have a new sponsor of the weather. Montage. The great Montage complex in Scranton. And it is so much more than skiing, regardless of this lousy skiing weather today. We admit that. But we're going to have a lot of fun with that. I'm excited. I tell you, when I have sponsors, first, we sort of have exclusivity in category. But number two, it's got to be someplace that I really like. I believe in the place. Like I know if you go there, you're going to enjoy it. Because otherwise, what's the point of if you're going to endorse something, as I do, and it's not good? Well, then you might as well kiss your endorsement career goodbye, right? Murph and I were talking over the weekend. Should we continue with Christmas music? And I said, faux show. Faux show. This week, so today, tomorrow, we'll do that. And just a great, by the way, I don't know if I put him on. Cat Matthews called in last week because we've been playing his great Christmas song, Snow on a Christmas Morning. He's got a whole, you look up Cat Matthews, he's got a whole lot of good stuff going on. By the way, good weekend in football. It was enjoyable, the NFL anyway. College, I don't know. I don't have it for it anymore. I really don't. Maybe the big games will turn me on, but the NFL was enjoyable, but the college, I don't get it. I don't get it anymore. They've ruined it. We'll see. In any event, we have to take our first break. Bob Cordaro with you on this is like the new year for me. New Year's Eve is irrelevant to me. It really is. I mean, I'll do something because Cutie will drive me to it. But other than, and I don't mean physically drive me. I mean, she'll make me do something. But it's, I don't know. I don't get the New Year's Eve thing at all. Anyway, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll return our great sponsors, a little history, a little music, and then you at 570-883-0098. Christmas Must Be Tonight. That's the band. Recorded 1975, released 1977. I had no idea they had a Christmas album. How about that? And 1970, For Good or Ill, Richard Nixon. Domestically, he was not a good president. I'm sorry. There's a lot of Nixon lovers out there, my dad included, but domestically and economically, he was awful. He really was awful. Well, one of his creations, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, adding to the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. Right. Anyway, this date, 1970. All right. Let's go right to the blower. Now, whatever is not working, so you'll have to tell me who this is and where you are from.
Oh, well, Bob, it's Joe from Berwick.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I'm glad to hear you had a very good Christmas. I did as well.
Good.
Um, so I wanted to call you because I'm not sure if you'd heard about this or not. It's a recently developing story out of Montour County here over the weekend.
Yeah, that piqued my interest. It did when I saw that.
Well, this fella, he was a illegal alien from Mexico. He'd been here since he was a teenager. He's now an adult. He at one time was married to an American citizen, but isn't anymore. And he somehow got swept up in an ICE raid. He was I guess he was on his way to work actually. The story goes, and he was detained by ICE. And this, of course, became a big deal because he's a business owner. He owns a place called Amigos Pizza. And I guess, a lot of people do know him. He's very well known in the community, and, he's done a lot of charitable work and whatnot, so a lot of people know who he is. And even the sheriff, the Montour County sheriff, had come out and taken up this cause. And
well, see,
here's the problem.
All of this I don't understand. Now, he's here illegally. He knows he's here illegally. He's part of the community. Understood.
Yeah.
Well, we should be upset about him getting caught, I guess you'd call it. But he was wrong.
Well, here's
get it.
See, they're coming. You're hearing a lot of the same arguments over and over again, right? And like the sheriff and the one county commissioner came out and said, "Oh, we were told it's just going to be rapists and murderers, and we were told, So in all this, now here's the thing, Bob.
That's just such an asinine argument.
Well, it's all asinine because of this. Number one, if we're a nation of laws apply equally, okay? This needs to be said because adults have not been making adult decisions for many years, particularly on this issue of illegal immigration. If you or I were to take a trip and get off of a boat somewhere, and we tried getting back on that boat without our American passport, would not happen. We'd be stopped cold. There would be no one to come to our defense. No one saying, "Oh, well, Jesus was an illegal immigrant," or any of this other nonsense these people use, or nobody saying, "Oh, well, we're nice guys and we're pillars of our community." These are the laws. This is the rule of law that all of us have to follow, and yet somehow they've decided through the years that this doesn't apply to certain people because of where they come from or the circumstances. No, and even what they said. Well, this isn't their job. Do they have? The sheriff came out. He said, "Don't they have better things to do?" Listen, they're of all people, a sheriff.
Don't you have something better to do than your job?
Yeah,
I'm not getting this. And I get it. I get feeling bad for we had the situation happen in Dunmore. There was a situation happen up in Moscow area, North Pocono area. I'm like, okay, well, you think they should say? I mean, again, the appropriate reaction, a thinking reaction is, geez, isn't it a shame he didn't do what he had to do to stay here?
Well, you have that, yes, and that's
I hope that's what people are thinking. Well, geez, it's a shame he didn't do the right thing.
Well, here's the bigger part to it, too, in regards to that, Bob. Our Congress specifically is in the Constitution They are specifically given the job of spelling out laws and policies for naturalization, in other words, immigration. This is their actual job. They have refused to step up to the plate and make adult decisions and live with those decisions. And this is all their fault. This has been years in the making of not making, sane, discernible, and immigration policy that everyone has to follow, like every other law, because that's what it is. It's a law. And they refuse
I
to do
actually
that.
feel bad about it. The guy was established here. I didn't know him, obviously, but he was
Yeah.
established in this country. He had business. People liked him. He was part of the community. Well, my reaction is, why didn't you take care of business? I don't understand it. Who's the, like, who, what am I'm not missing anything. I know that. You've got the right to feel bad. And I said this when we had a bunch of people, screaming and kicking about a dishwasher up in Dunmore. And it's like, yeah, great guy. Okay. Why didn't he go to his hearings?
Well, and you're right. And listen, we're all on this. You and I are on the same page with that. And the other thing too, though, that's also
And
part
by the
of
way,
this.
he's going to get more hearings.
Oh, he's
He's
going
going to get his. He's going to have his say.
Yeah, January 13th, they're reporting in the
I mean,
paper.
the dog ate my homework is not an appropriate response, but, hey, we got to go. But thanks for bringing that to my attention. We'll keep us abreast on it.
Thank you, Bob.
All right. Hey, yeah, it's 9:31. My Bacardi Jewelers watch tells me that. And that means that we've got to take this break. We want to hear from our sponsors. We want to do our Veterans Tribute. We have the weather brought to you by Montage and much more. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Dutifully and patriotically brought to you by John Basiliga. Today featuring his biggest company, Eastern Roofing Systems, headquartered in Jessup. They are the premier roofing contractor for institutional, commercial, and guess what? They bring all of that expertise, all that buying power to you in Northeast Pennsylvania because they're headquartered here for your home or your small building. Eastern Roofing Systems. Edward Dudek He was from Hazleton. Member of St. Pius of Petrokina Parish at Transfiguration Church, West Hazleton, where he volunteered much of his time. Also involved in the Silver Leadership in Hazleton. Ed is a veteran, having served all of us in the U.S. Army in Fort Knox, Kentucky, 1957 to 1959. Following the Army, he studied engineering at Penn State. Prior to retiring, he worked for 31 years at Whitecap Incorporated in the Valmont Industrial Park. He loved hanging with family, hunting, and fly fishing. Went all the way to Montana to do this way back when. Preceded in death by his wife, Lorraine, but he survived by his son, Kenneth, Kenneth's wife, their grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and many nieces and nephews. Edward Dudek. Donald Olsemer passed away at age 86, December 11th. He was from Sterling. He's survived by his wife for 66 years, the former Janet Hines Olsemer. Born in Scranton, graduate of Green Dreyer Sterling High School, class of 1958. Prior to retirement, Don was the founder and owner of Olsemer Clark Insurance Group, established back in 1972. Did offices in Hamlin, Honesdale, Moscow. He also owned and operated Olsemer Tree Farm in Sterling. A man of deep faith, he served for 17 years as pastor of Smith Hill United Methodist Church, a lifelong member of Sterling United Methodist Church. United States Army veteran. I don't know where he got all the time to do this. He served with distinction for more than 30 years in the Pennsylvania National Guard, retiring with the rank of major. He had enlisted at the age of 18 in 1958 with the Honesdale National Guard. He was everywhere. Tank Battalion. He became an officer, moved up through the ranks, and he returned to Pennsylvania and served as company commander for National Guard units in Carbondale, Honesdale, Scranton, and Tobyhanna. He was a public servant as well. He served the citizens of Wayne County as county commissioner, 1980 to 1991 and 2004 to 2007. Avid outdoorsman, member of the American Legion, the Salem Masonic Lodge. He survived, in addition to his wife, by 3 sons, grandchildren, and many other family members. A giant loss, Donald Olsemer. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Well, our weather brought to you by Mountain Montage Mountain Resorts. They are open, and they've got all kinds of things going on every day. Meteorologist Joe Snedeker tells us today cloudy, rainy, and mild, high 48. Then temperatures dropping through the 30s during the afternoon today. Tonight, cloudy and breezy with chance of snow showers, low 21. Tuesday, cloudy and breezy with a chance of snow showers, 28. Wednesday, New Year's Eve day, cloudy with snow showers late in the afternoon into the evening, high 30. Thursday, New Year's Day, colder with scattered snow showers, 23. So no big events on our Montage Mountain weather report, but it's winter. That's why we ski in the winter. That's why we go to Montage. Cat Matthews, snow on a Christmas morning. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. This is sort of New Year for me. The Christmas holiday's over. The the exhaustion, the running here, running there, all of that is done. And so let's start the new year now. We're not worried about the calendar, are we? Anyway, Bob Ginny C checking in. She says, wish to you and yours and the listeners, especially Lorraine, a happy, healthy new year. And keep me in your prayers. You are in our prayers, Ginny, always. Somebody else regarding our Montour illegal alien. He was here illegally, end of story. I don't care if he was a good guy, business owner, and pillar of the community. I don't feel that harshly about it, but it's what is. And the question should be, well, why didn't he do what he was supposed to do to stay here? That's the question. Isn't it a shame he didn't? Somebody texts in, one of the trolls. Melanie Trump came into the country under an EB-1 Einstein visa. She being deported. I'll guarantee you've never asked about Ilhan Omar, who married her brother and committed immigration fraud, and who then led to billions being stolen by her fellow Somalis. Yeah, you never asked about her, I guarantee you. And please, if Melanie Trump wasn't here legally, you would have known about it. Another, I've always asked, why do these people not want to go through the process to become an American citizen? I don't understand, because it's hard. My sister-in-law did it, and it was a headache. But see, when you're going through the process, you're here. So I don't understand it. Somebody else, Bob LTS and Merry Christmas. Happy, healthy New Year. Completely agree with Joe. If we don't enforce all the laws, we have no laws at all. Maybe an enterprising journalist could look at the congresswoman from Minnesota who was dead broke and in 1 year worth $30 million. Well, it's more than 1 year, but it's only a couple of years. And the listener continues, just so happens hundreds of millions of dollars gone in fraud in her state by her people. She calls herself a Somali. She does not call herself an American. It's a guarantee. It's a virtual guarantee that she made her millions off of that scam. Remember, she wasn't doing anything else either. That's what she was doing, congressperson. And I don't think it's a coincidence that people from this broken society, including her, have become massively wealthy on federal tax dollars. I don't think it's any kind of coincidence. All right, let's go to the blower. I don't have my thing. It says that you're calling regarding the migrant from Montour County, but who is this? Who am I on with?
This is Luciano Gomez.
Hey,
Yes.
Luciano, how are you?
How you doing, brother? Yes. Yeah, I was with a black brother, Catholic black brother. Yeah, I walk around. That's right. They said they're going to deport me because I'm a person of color, and they tell Lenny he's black man, he's going to be deported. This insanity that these migrants, that these liberal, white guilt American citizens walk around. Yeah, they now black people are not protest against black people. I get emotional because I get sick and tired of these white liberals, and then want to give blacks reparations. Well, Lenny, he's black conservative. He laughs when the white women that I walk with, he's a Catholic brother. They said they're going to deport you. You know, Donald Trump's going to deport you, and you're right here, your brother, your Latino friend, he's going to be deported back to wherever he's coming. And I get sick and tired. Listen, I'm just going to say this.
I was Luciano. I was driving to my son's house. And I don't know why it came to mind. Maybe because we live in the hill section, a lot of Indian Americans. And I said, well, they're people of color. Nobody's after them. And they've become tremendous citizens. So it's like this argument is so phony and disgustingly so because they've got no defense. No defense.
Bob, I talked to conservative immigration attorneys. I've talked to them. I listened on the internet to a conservative immigration attorney on Sunday out of Kansas City, Kansas. And he has said that 98% of the migrants that invaded this country in the past 5 years, 15 plus million, do not qualify because they don't qualify for asylum because they're coming here because of economic factors. My mother and father, who came to this country and are American citizens and are of Latino blood, and the media is not exposing one last critical information. I get many Chicanos are listening to Spanish TV, and I listen to. Do you know that Claudia Sheinbaum from Mexico? What she's doing at this present moment. People out there, unplug your ears. She has deported so many migrants in the past 10 months. It is incredible. The Mexicanos from Mexico do not want Venezolanos, Central Americans, Africanos, Haitians, whomever invade. You know that they're kicking out so many Venezolanos and they're Latino blood. They had Spanish blood. You would think that they would be more.
Well, somewhere at some point, we've got to go, Luciano, but somewhere at some point, the nonsense has to end. And if you're here illegally, you've got to go. It's just, I'm not getting it. I don't get it. I really don't.
I agree with
you. Well, I don't say it that way.
Out,
I get why you want to be here. I understand why you want to be here. This is the greatest country in the history of the planet. But you've got to come here, and we've got to process.
This is the greatest country in the world, thank God. But we're $36 trillion in debt, brother. Have a good day.
It goes beyond money. It's the fabric of society is being rent intentionally. We'll take a break and be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Celtic Woman. Murph says that she recorded this in 2022. Now, Bulldog, I always thought it was Celtic Women, plural. Just women. Okay. All right. But it's a group. It's a group called Celtic Woman. Murph playing it for Bulldog because that's his favorite group. I don't know where this obsession the Bulldog has for Celtic Woman comes, but he has it. Somebody with Bob LTS and Merry Christmas. Trump wants to go after naturalized citizens that might have come into the country who allegedly committed fraud or misrepresentation during their naturalization process. Good. And it might be a troll, but I mean, you're making my point. Another, Ilhan Omar's husband runs one of the largest VC firms, which went from 0 to 60 billion. I don't know this to be true, by the way. Just passing on a listener thought. 0 to 60 billion in assets in about a year. They just started scrubbing their website. And this was reported by the libs of TikTok. Another, Bob, the massive fraud going on in Minnesota with daycares being discovered by a 23-year-old independent journalist and not mainstream media is stunning. That's why we played it at 9:35. They didn't even spell learning right on this fraudulent place. Quite amazing. All right, well, it is the 28th. Oh, it's the 29th, I'm sorry. And Lorraine has a poem. Hi, Lorraine.
Hi, Bob.
How are you?
Hanging in.
Okay. Well, we've come to accept that. That's okay. Ginny C wished you health in the new year.
Yes, and I heard her, and I'd like to wish her the same, and thank you. And happy and healthy New Year to you and everybody.
Amen.
All my family, my WILK family.
Yeah. We're a large dysfunctional family, but family nevertheless.
Yeah, I'll take what I could get.
Exactly.
That's right.
What do you got for us, my dear? You got a nice poem?
This is called A Continuation of Life. Another year has come and gone, and we sit in amazement how the days have sped by. If you close your eyes long enough, you're liable to think it could be the 4th of July. Time waits for no man nor woman. This is why we have to make our lives worthwhile. Show kindness and compassion whenever you go, even if it is a simple smile. People are hungry for genuine love. Unfortunately, some have a difficult time finding it. This is why we have to make a sincere effort to be nice. You'll never know when you might just make a big hit. Remember that in 2025, there are many who still haven't made, while others only have sorrow and strife. Keep in mind that it is only a new number at the top of a calendar. And for me, it is just a continuation of life.
Nice. And that's good because it leads us into the new year.
Well, that poem was written specifically for a new year because I was thinking, wait a minute, just because it says a new year, a number at the top of the calendar doesn't mean anything has really changed.
Well, and also Mother Teresa for today, for December 29th, Mary Regina sent in. She touched on part of what your poem was about. There's more hunger in the world for love and appreciation than for food.
See, so that's true.
Yep.
I mean, I'll take both, but I mean that's true about the love.
Well, Mark Mayer's saying he's waiting for his fuzzy wuzzy.
Is he saying it live?
He's waiting for you to say it.
I know. Okay. fuzzy wuzzy.
Right, because my Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10 o'clock, which means it's time for the news.
Well, that's okay.
Well, thank you, Lorraine. We appreciate it very much, dear. Maybe we'll get to hear from you tomorrow.
You never know where I'll pop up.
Darling, have a good day. Our Lorraine from Hazelton. Yes, it's 10 o'clock and change. That means we got to go to the news. I look at my beautiful Picardo's watch, and man, it's time. Yep. We'll take a break and be back with Monday Musings. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:06 and change here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Monday, December 29th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his Great Eastern Roofing Systems Company, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John. Like Donald Olsemer, Sterling, Edward Dudek, Hazleton, Louis Febo, Old Forge, David Maroney from the main line of Philly, Spencer Vincent, Hughesville, and Robert McCreary, Orangeville. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment, this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you who require it, and I think we all do, in a world where an entire political party, the Democrats, and the entire establishment are on a craven grab for power, and they don't care about you. Somebody texts in, or no, Tenor Jim texts in. He says, Bob, in regard to the social, economic, and legal issues of the United States and its Constitution, it is obvious that serious erosion is taking place. Therefore, enjoy yourself. It might be later than you think. Well, LTS back at you, Tenor Jim, but we just started turning this ship around. And we've got to go from an attitude where, all right, someone who's been with us illegally for decades and we like them and they've got a nice business or whatever. And instead of saying, whoa, what are they doing taking him out of this country? Instead of saying that, say, geez, I wish he had followed the right procedure. I wish he had done the right things to stay here. I really like him. That's where it's got to go to. I compared it. Like, stop signs are not a suggestion. Red lights are not a suggestion. They mean stop. And if the cops are there sitting watching and you roll through a stop sign, and now everybody can roll through stop signs, at some point an innocent pedestrian is going to get killed. Well, we've had thousands of those instances with illegals, but that's a separate issue. If you make a law, you follow it. If you don't like the law, you change it. I would love to see them try to change that law. Could you imagine the proposal the Democrat Party would provide? If you're here illegally, you get to stay. That would be their law. And here's the law. Well, if they couldn't get that passed, which they couldn't, hey, if we like you, you get to stay no matter how illegal you are. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Hey, well, it's Monday, and it's our last chance this year for Monday Musings. So guess what? We're going to do it. And John Perillo, welcome, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, Bob. How are you?
Great. I'm a little tired from the weekend.
Well, you deserve that.
Well, no, I've just got to grow up. I'm 64
No,
years old. What is this nonsense? I don't even get it when I'm doing it.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
And for your listeners out there, we Catholics, we celebrate Christmas for, all the way to the Epiphany. So Bob was kind enough to let me do a little bit of Christmas musings, if that's okay. And I really can't.
Well, John said, do you mind if I do a Christmas musing? And I said, we celebrate Christmas all year on this program, so you're in.
Absolutely.
Done.
Correct. Absolutely correct. And you got to muse a little bit about the miracle of Christmas. And for those of you who only went to Mass this year at Christmas, don't let anyone put you down for that. You were being called and you listened, and good for you. And I'm also very aware that not everyone believes in the divinity of the Christmas story. So I'd ask you to hang with me today, because this story is also very much about you. And there's so much to say about that, this wonderful holiday, that it's hard to know where to start. And of course, for those of us living our lives today, there's the good as well as the somewhat sorrowful, right? The knowledge that this one will be the last one before the kids move out or before they have their own children, or the first without a parent or a grandparent who held your family tradition together. And especially for those of you out there who might have had some melancholy mixed in with your joy, Christmas is still your holiday. And our traditions, our Christmas traditions, come from all over the world. It was the Dutch who gave us the traditions of gift and Santa, the Italians and their creche scenes that find their way into places where Catholics were looked at sideways in the past. Right? It's the writing of the British author Charles Dickens about a man transformed by charity. It's all of those things. But of course, the story is first and foremost a biblical one. And in that story, a child is born in a cave, in poverty, and that the first to hear the extraordinary news are shepherds, which are really low-class jobs, and that already at his birth, this tiny baby is being chased by the political authorities at the time. The Roman leader Herod wants him dead because he was told by some visiting astrologers that the child was a king, and no Roman leader could allow the existence of an authority other than their own. And Herod is so terrified by this infant sleeping in a barn feed trough that he orders the slaughter of every young boy in the entire region to make sure he kills this baby. Right? And the Gospels approach the birth of Christ from different points of view, and Matthew offers the genealogy of the baby, who begot who. And if you were sitting in church where it was packed in 80 degrees and we had this freak heat wave out here, you could be forgiven for wondering when this litany of who was born to whom would ever end. But there's a purpose to Matthew's recording of that list. And the first is to show that the lineage of the baby fulfills the prophecy that he would be, quote, from the house of David. And the other reason is that anyone who knew the Torah at the time would have read that, and all these people were pretty flawed in this list of this genealogy. They were far from perfect. So this baby then is really one of us and having some really messed up relatives. So if you think your family has some odd ones, by God becoming man, he joins our messed up family as well. And the Christmas gospel from the Apostle John says, quote, and the word became flesh and dwelt among us. And that's quite a sentence, but because it's Monday Musings, we, of course, need to have a bit of background here. And in that sentence, dwelt, or whatever translation you use, doesn't just mean live. It means literally to pitch a tent alongside yours, to tabernacle. It would be in the vernacular at the time. Right? Well, what does that mean? Right? And in the biblical story of Adam and Eve, God creates the perfect home for the two of them in this Garden of Eden. And God in his creation, man and woman, walk around in the, quote, cool of day, and they talk to each other. And in that story, sin enters the garden through the eating of an apple, and God can't have sin in his perfect place, so Adam and Eve get sent out. But neither can God abandon his beautiful creation that he loves. He still wants to be with them. So later in the book of Exodus, God tells the Hebrews to pitch a tent, if that sounds familiar, the tabernacle it's called, where God will dwell alongside his people. And I'm simplifying quite a bit here, but that's the essence of the story. And in that tabernacle are the commandments, the tablets of the Ten Commandments that were given to Moses, the law, the literal word of God himself. And we discussed a while back how lots of things in our world today get spoken into existence, right? The empire saying you're out creates a reality that wasn't there before. So God's word created the world, and then his law creates order in that world that world needs to survive. But because human nature is both immutable and fallible, man again walks away from God, and his people are again, just like Adam and Eve, exiled from that dwelling place. And so that's the background you need to understand to get the phrase dwelt in that sentence. So when God says that God pitched his tent or tabernacled among us, every observant Hebrew would have understood precisely what that meant. That this tiny baby was the tabernacle of God himself. He was God living among his people, not a symbol of God, not a tent where God was near his people but separate from them, but God walking around with his creation just like he did with Adam and Eve at the very beginning, the restoration of that perfect relationship. And yes, his people kept and keep walking away from him, but God chooses, if you remember that word from last week's piece, to live with his creation, man. And that's you and me, that's every one of us. And the miracle of Christmas then is God among us, not kind of here, not here symbolically, but really and truly here. And of course, the baby comes to free us to create a new kingdom. Because of the history of Jewish oppression under the Egyptians and later the Romans, everyone back then thought that this new kingdom was going to be just like the kingdoms that they knew around them. It's a very reasonable assumption. And even his disciples at the end of his life were asking him when he would free his people from the Romans. And what they didn't understand, and what Herod and later Pilate couldn't conceive of, was that there was something far more important than who would win the political battle of power. There was a battle for our eternal souls. And that stark, impoverished beauty, that and peacefulness of the manger scene, which is a cave where farm animals went to get out of crappy weather, is so completely countercultural. And it was even to the people at that time, but even more so for us today. The family in that cave are a wonderful family, not because of their home, obviously, or because of some sumptuous feast that they put out, which they didn't have, or because of wealth, but because of their love and of each other and obedience to God, which is the very opposite of the disobedience that separated God in the first place from his people in the Garden of Eden and later in the desert. And of course, for us today, the joy from last week's piece rests on our choosing to live like that family, to be obedient no matter what our situation might be, and to walk like Adam and Eve before the apple, like that family trying to stay warm in the cave, like the disciples, imperfectly, of course, but to the very best of our ability, along with the baby who has made his dwelling among us. And back to those who struggle with this story, please don't feel alone. Many people struggle with this. And perhaps the best way to think about that is that most fibs or most lies are told for the benefit of the person telling the fib and to make them look better. You know, the main subject in this story owned nothing but a cloak and was executed in the most terrible and painful way that the authorities could come up with at the time. And most of the people who related this story were also executed in horrible ways, or if they were lucky, they got exiled, when being exiled meant more than having to go to DoorDash to have your food delivered. And for generations, anyone who either told the story or believed in the story was also executed. And that is and was, you know, there's zero earthly benefit either to the subject of the story or to the people who relate it or to the people who believed it. And yet we're still talking about it today. Mm-hmm. And that's just something for you to think about this week, you know, when you have a little bit of quiet time. But like I said, I just couldn't let Christmas go by without making a couple of comments on it. And again, Bob, I thank you for lending me your audience on a weekly basis, and I hope you guys have a great week.
That's why, John, even if we're alone for Christmas, even if we've had tragedy just before Christmas, it is a time of joy because it gives us the chance to go to heaven. Amazing.
It does.
Yep.
It's our only chance. And again, to you and your listeners, I thank you for your time. And just think about that one if you're struggling with this, or call Bob and he'll get me back on. We'll talk more about it. So thank you again.
John Perillo, Monday Musings, a Christmas musing. We'll be back with a little bit of a tribute to John Stanky Stankovic, the Nanticoke-born polka musician who we lost on Christmas Day at age 89. We'll be back. Is there any more just outright joyous music than polkas? I'm partial. So yesterday morning, was it yesterday? Anyway, it was either Saturday morning or Sunday morning. I forget which. Amazing. I get a call from my friend Mark Schuchter. And he says, John, did you know, and I had seen a blip of it in the news, that John Stanky Stankovic had passed on Christmas Day at the age of 89. And he told me this story where, and he's one of us, he's a honky, and he wanted polka music for his son's wedding. And so he he actually put together a polka band. Remember, I was talking about Mike Magnan, who was the sound guy for Trump's singer, opera singer, who performed at Bo Dietl's last Monday night. And he got Mike, and he got John Stanky, and some others, and they blew the doors out at this wedding. Everybody went wild. But he showed up at a wedding. And in the polka world, John Stanky Stankovic was huge. And I the best we can hope for, it doesn't matter how long you live, is that there's some legacy, whether it's a child and a grandchild or whatever, something. All that amazing music is there. And thanks to my man, Mark Schuchter, for bringing that to my attention, because he deserved it, man. And Murph had originally picked out the babushka polka. But then, and we had a problem downloading. We were supposed to start the show with it. But the babushka polka, Bulldog, let's play it later. Don't forget on me now. But that's the Apple Peaches pumpkin pie polka. Sometimes referred to as the hide and seek polka. That's just joyous, isn't it? Amazing. And speaking of joyous, somebody texted in, Bob, wow. John Perillo's story was beautiful. Is there a way to get his script on Jesus' birth? Thanks. He doesn't have a script. This is how smart he is. You could listen, though. The Bulldog will download today's show, and you can listen to Monday Musings in its entirety on our podcast. But, and of course, too, this little stanky segment that we just did. And, I'm telling you, it just livens my heart, not just because I'm a honky, but for a lot of reasons. It's just great. Well, changing gears from John Stanky, and R.I.P., rest in peace. Let's go to the blower. We got Donald from Pittston. How are you, Donald?
Oh, good.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience.
Wait till you hear this. $9 billion, fraud gone, 100 mayors, they can't keep the lights on. There's short money. This is huge. This was the guy, Walsh, that's called Trump, the Scapo, and Claiborne said Trump was Hitler, and Shaffer were all involved with this guy. This is big for the midterms. I'm telling you. I take it, walk around the bones.
Are people paying attention? I really hope so. I played the little cut. There was this young kid on his own. No reporters, no media in Minnesota is covering this. He goes to the place. It's called the Leering Center. They don't even know how to spell learning. And they got millions of dollars a year on this scam. Beyond
this is the guy that
disgraceful.
called cash for telling competent. Now, you're going to see how competent when there's over 300 FBI agents in your state checking fraud. This guy's going down. He called people names.
He's a piece of spit.
He was going to run a Gestapo against Trump and ICE. He was going to, for the whole summer. He tried to destroy Trump. Look what happened to him. Trump's a good man. This is karma for operating on the kids and the tampons and all this insanity this guy created. It's against God's creation. I'm telling you,
you certainly hope, Donald, that that karma will come back to bite him in the butt.
The things
Because
he
he's
said
a
horrible things
sickening
about
disgrace.
the President of the United States and his homeland, everybody. He condemned the whole administration, even RFK Jr. for with the healthy foods. This guy, I don't know what's going on with him. He should just resign.
He's
and forget
mentally
about
ill.
it
He's
because
mentally
I think he
ill.
might go to jail.
That would be great. And so should Ilhan Omar. And she should be kicked out of the country. She's a
This is
sickening
huge,
disgrace.
Rob, I'm telling
And
you,
they should confiscate her money. The money she made since she's in Congress has got to be confiscated in full.
He said Murdoch was lying at Fox News. The whole lineup. Now look what happened to him. There's 100 mayors that are short money, $9 billion. Where'd it go? This is huge. This is crazy. I've never heard of anything with these immigrants, what they're doing in this country. It's all legal money, like you said, that's going through nonprofits and stuff. This proves everything right with Doge and everything. This is terrible.
Unreal.
They have to do something. Something's got to be prosecuted for doing this stuff. You can't be doing this. It's terrible. It's horrible. It's a bad look. It's sad, too, because I'm sure there's some good people here that came legally. They're going to get screwed over because of this nonsense, too, Hopefully it won't happen, but it's not.
Well, here's the problem, Donald. Let us say they came legally, okay?
Right.
And I'm from Somalia, and I come to this country, and I am not forced to acculturate to the United States to understand its constitution, its formation, its history. And I've come from this disastrous country that does not function, that is full of corruption. What else would I know? I've simply come to the land of milk and honey to commit corrupt acts. That's all.
It's terrible. I tell you, it's all cultural. They got to teach these people love America like we do. And this nonsense. This is crazy, Bob. 100 mayors don't have the money to keep the lights on. That's like that went to like illegals. This is huge. This is gonna. I would take this into the midterms. I'd walk around with the bones because this could be a big easy win.
And I got to tell you, thank God that normal people are in charge. Thank God normal people are in charge of this, of our Justice Department. Thank God.
Everything. Oh yeah, they'll go in there. I guarantee you. Cash and Patel go in there. He'll flood that with 400 or 500 agents, the whole state. So whoever's left, the residuals. I feel sorry for whoever's left on this fraud case because there's no way you could go $9 billion missing. I mean, you just don't have this.
I've heard numbers as high as 18 billion.
9 billion.
I've heard numbers as high as 18. I've also heard that they have now uncovered massive Somalian-led fraud in Ohio. It's not going to end. This is just the beginning.
This is horrible. It's just a bad look for them. Even America. I mean, to have that kind of fraud going on, billions of dollars.
Well, it shows you what we got to do with government. We've got to get rid of a lot of it.
Got to straighten it out.
It's a disgrace.
The good people like Lorraine should be getting this money for Medicaid, and there's people on Social Security and veterans not giving this fraudulent stuff going out to these people that don't deserve it. It's terrible. But thanks for taking my call.
Always a pleasure, Donald. Thank you, my friend.
Let me tell you something. Ali got Frazier. Trouble get Walls. I guarantee it.
I hope so. Well, you don't put him in Joe Frazier's category. He's no Joe Frazier. He's Rip Taylor without confetti. He's Rip Taylor without confetti. All right. We've got to take a break. By the way, my friend Mark Schuchter texted in this, and it's got to be stated. He says, our friend Glenn Gress always said, we hunkies move slow, but we're in constant motion. We'll take a break and be back. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you loyally and patriotically by our friend John Basiliga. Today featuring his first company and his greatest and biggest company, Eastern Roofing Systems, headquartered in Jessup, but the largest commercial and institutional roofer in the Eastern United States and the best. And guess what? Because they're headquartered in Jessup, they'll bring that expertise and that buying power to your roof at home or your small building. Eastern Roofing Systems. Louis Febo. We lost him December 12th. He was 81 years of age. He was from Old Forge. He was married to the former Rosemary Chucho. The couple had celebrated their 54th wedding anniversary in June of this year. Born in Old Forge, a graduate of Old Forge High School, class of 63, he earned a Bachelor of Science degree at Mansfield and a master's degree in special education at Marywood. Prior to retirement, he was employed as a special education teacher for Northeastern Educational Intermediate Unit. And that's a special person, guaranteed. Lou was a member of the United States Navy, a veteran of that great service. Lifelong member of Prince of Peace Parish, Old Forge. He served on Old Forge Borough Council for 8 years. Also the former president of Sons of Italy Club. He loved bocce, hunting, fishing, collecting Jeep Willies. In addition to his wife, Rosemary, Louis Febo, survived by his son, Louis, a daughter, Mara, and many other family members. Louis Febo. David Maroney. He was 96 when he passed December 13th. All of his daughters were by his side when he died. Preceded in death by his wife of 45 years, Mary Campbell Maroney. Survived by his daughters, including Mary Ann Cognetti, with roots right here in Scranton and Waverly. 7 grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren. Born in Philadelphia, he lived most of his life on the historic Main Line. 1946 Lower Merion High School football team, co-captain of the wrestling team, and also a member of the school's first lacrosse team. He attended Cornell University, lettered in both football and lacrosse. He was a frat brother. He entered into the United States Army and served as a first lieutenant with the U.S. Occupation Forces in Germany. He had a long career in the wholesale lumber business. He retired as vice president of Furman Lumber in 1995, but he came out of retirement in 2000, corporate consulting. He loved sports for all of his years, watching, participating, but he played 3 sports for Marion Cricket Club. Former member of the Pennsylvania Scotch-Irish Society, the Geographical Society of Philly, and the Military Order of the Foreign Wars PA Commandery. David Maroney. Our great veterans this hour. Brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Our weather brought to you by Montage Mountain Resorts from meteorologist Joe Snedeker and Channel 16. Sorry about that cough. Today, cloudy, rainy, and mild. 48 it's projected to become. It's 42 right outside the studio as I speak. Then temperatures are going to drop through the 30s during the afternoon. Tonight, cloudy and breezy with a chance of snow showers. Low of 21. Tuesday, cloudy and breezy with a chance of snow showers as well. 28. Wednesday, New Year's Eve / day. Cloudy with snow showers late in the afternoon into the evening. High 30. Thursday, New Year's Day, colder with scattered snow showers. 23 degrees. Isn't it? Andy Williams from 1963, Murph tells us. Bob Cordaro back with you. And it's not over yet, okay? Keep the Christmas spirit going. When I was a kid, again, probably because we were Polish and Slovak, we kept the Christmas tree and the outdoor lights going right through Russian New Year's. I sort of love that tradition. Now, I have a little cutie she is going to have everything torn down in 7 seconds. She's going to just get it in her head and it's going to be all over. But I have a little thing I call Gorky Santa. Now, the light didn't work this year, but it's a very simple little, it looks like the Monopoly Man in a Santa outfit. It was a very basic thing from the 60s. And I'm going to keep that up I'll keep it up till the spring solstice, actually. So, yeah, I'll be thinking about all that. Hey, let's go to the blower. We got John from Falls. John, how are you?
Very good, very good. I just want to compliment your show. I call it a classic. Where else can you hear about the birth of Christ, a guy called Pie Man with football, and the truth about Tampon Tim? It's a classic. You have it all.
We say this, John. If we laugh, if we learn, if we become outraged, and we become inspired, we've had a good show that day.
Well, indeed. Now, I have two I want to comment about. First, I want to say John Perillo's expression was about perfect.
Yep.
And when in the scripture it says that Jesus said, in 3 days, I'll rebuild this temple in 3 days. And they said the temple was 46 years in the building of the Herod's temple. And someone's gone. But anyhow, to take a deeper look at that tabernacle, did I get lost?
That's your call.
Am I still there? Okay.
Yes,
you're on. Can you hear me now?
No,
okay.
John, I have a habit. I have a habit when someone else is talking, I'm silent.
Oh, okay. All right. But anyhow, when you take a look at that tabernacle, there was 7 major pieces to it. There was the brass place where they sacrificed, the brass altar, the brass laver, the golden menorah candlestick, the table of presence bread, the golden altar of incense, and the Ark of the Covenant and the mercy seat. And when you look at Jesus and you see he was pierced, and Jesus, our tabernacle amongst us, when you look at where Jesus was pierced, he was pierced in 7 places. His 2 feet, his 2 hands, his side, his back with the whip, and his brow with the thorns. 7 places. And every place he was pierced matches a place of a furniture within the tabernacle. It's very, 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 very interesting. There's not time, I suppose, that I could elaborate on that. It would take quite a bit of time. But it's because.
But
Jesus
we're not rushing around here, John. I like your subject matter.
All right. Well, then, at where Jesus' feet was, the way you would approach the tabernacle would be you would have to come first. You would see the brass altar, where a bullock, which was the largest animal with the most blood, would be sacrificed, and that's a picture of how Jesus came as our sin bearer and our kinsman redeemer, and he sacrificed his entire life for us. Then the priest would have to go to the brass laver, which was still outside the tabernacle, And that was a place where they would wash, a picture of how we have to wash ourselves with the Word of God. And then they would go beyond the curtain into the holy place. And on the left would be the menorah, which would be, it was a candle with three on each side, a picture of Jesus, the light of the world, and 6 being the number of man, how man has been grafted into the life of Jesus because he became our kinsman redeemer. He became flesh and walked amongst us. And because he lives in us, when we accept him and we are grafted into him, his life begins to shine in us because Jesus is the light of the world. He's a picture of that menorah. He's a picture of the brass laver, the washing of the Word of God, because Jesus in the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. He's our sacrifice. Opposite the candlestick was the table of presence bread. And that table of presence bread was made of a wood called a shittim wood, which is the hardest, most difficult wood to work with, a picture of us. And that would be covered with gold, that which is drawn from the earth by fire, as the Lord draws our life out of sin, and he puts the fire of tribulation and things upon our life where we learn to love him regardless of all circumstances. And on that special table, there was 2 rows of bread. There were 6 in each row had 6. Again, the number of man, and 2, a picture of the 2 covenants, the old covenant and new covenant. And then there was the veil that went into the Holy of Holies. And the Holy of Holies was pitch dark, and the high priest had to go under the veil, under the curtain, and sit in darkness till the Lord would come down upon the mercy seat. And it was very, very, to me, which is very, very interesting. In the book of Hebrews, it says, let us go beyond the veil of his flesh into the Holy of Holies, into a tabernacle not made with human hands. And we go, Jesus is sacrificed on the cross for us. His flesh was the veil that takes us into the Holy of Holies. It takes us into the throne room of God by his mercy. And there was an altar of incense that would be, I wouldn't have the time to go into all the articles that make up that incense, but it would be lit by fire. And the smell of that fire would go up to the mercy seat, and then Almighty God would come down the mercy seat and meet with the high priest once a year. But now we go beyond the veil of his flesh, and now the Father is totally expressed in our Lord Jesus Christ in mercy to us. Because when you've seen Jesus, he told Thomas, when you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And that's just a real brief picture.
And you know what, John, and I tell people this, people are skeptical of the church because it's had a lot of problems because it's made up of humans. But the depth to which every subject, every part of human nature has been scoured and studied, and resolution has come from, the church has done that. And your explication just now of that small part of it is why we know they know what they're talking about. You know, are they always the right thing? Are they always the right people? No, but when you go back to the birth of Christ, just as an example, it's real. It's got historical basis and historical fact to back it up, and it is significant in all the ways you mentioned. So I appreciate that.
And it's perfect. The Word of God is perfect. A lot of people criticize the Bible, but they're always the people who criticize it are the people who have never read it cover to cover.
Well, the other part, any imperfection in the Bible is because it was written by humans.
Well,
inspired.
If you read Psalms chapter 12, verse number 6 and 7, it says that God preserves His word to us, to every generation, so we can take full assurance in the Word of God that what it tells us about the Lord Jesus Christ is true and perfect. And archaeology now is proving over and over, everything in the Word of God. We take a look at Israel, and we read about how Persia or Iran says we want Israel to no longer be a nation. I mean, there's just so much perfection in it. So I never got to address Tim upon Tim, but I think I talked about the most important thing of all.
You talked about something much more important than that, fool. Thank you, John. Appreciate it very much. Hey, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Robert Michael, when he says Christmas lights on Church Street, he means Church Street in Jessup. He's from that great town. Bob Cordaro back on WILK. Somebody texted in, when I was in Sunday school, I was told priests were called by God to become priests. Why did God call pedophiles to the church, or was the church lying to me? Well, it's cute that you say it, but it's a little more complicated than that, quite obviously. But unfortunately, our institutions are made up of people. Now, here's the funny part. A lot of the people, and I'm not saying you, that would criticize the church for humanity and the human condition overtaking will not complain about government being corrupted. They hate Doge. God almighty, the inconsistency is off the charts. But give the government more money, more power, more authority, because people aren't corrupt. Well, yeah, they are. Frustrating. Hey, let's go to Max from Dixon City. How are you, Max?
I'm actually pretty good because it was a great Christmas with Donald Trump and, exacting some revenge on the terrorists in Nigeria that were killing Christians.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of the Christians, that was a great psalm the other caller had. It's great to hear some religious fact. And then the message you wrote or you received and, about pedophiles and everything, like you said, it's a man-made thing. But I find it ironic that a religion like Islam, where you have Muhammad, who actually married a 9-year-old, and it's okay to be a pedophile in the Islamic religion. And I don't hear anybody ever speak negative about that. I mean, they have in Africa and all these other places, they have wives that are 9 years old, and they rape women and they do all that stuff and nobody cares. But hey, a rogue priest.
Yeah,
they're
all over it. Oh, they're all over it. And,
you know what? They're cowards.
Well, but here's the problem. For whatever reason, there's just craven, disgusting grabs for power over other people by the left, and they've merged with Islamists,
right?
Who would kill them in a second, by the way. But they've merged with Islamists to retain and take power, and they don't care about all of the contradictions inherent in that.
Indeed, and some of them just love the virtue signal as well. But there was a movie back in the day, Jack Nicholson was in. It was called Aliens Attack. It was like a campy movie.
Oh, Mars Attack. Mars Attack.
Right, Mars Attack, right, okay. And then in the movie, they had they're saying, we come in peace, we come in peace. And then you have like all the Democrat liberals out there saying, yay, they come in peace, we love you. And they gave them the key to the city, and then all of a sudden they attacked and they killed everybody.
Yeah.
And, that's basically what it is. These are the people who we are dealing with that elected these schmucks and especially in Minnesota, where I don't know if you hit earlier because I wasn't in the car earlier and I missed your show earlier. And I don't know if you talked about the Tim Walz corruption and what's happened in Little Somalia, they call it, in Minnesota, where Nick Shirley, an independent journalist, followed up with another man who has been on the story of the corruption with this funneling of money to Somali daycares, schools, rogue businesses.
And guess who grabbed some of that money? I'll guarantee it. Ilhan Omar and the rest of the lunatic leftists in Minnesota like Tim Walz. Yeah.
And here's the amazing part. When that lady, Melissa Horton, I believe her name is, the Democrat who voted against the illegal immigrants getting health care, she was the deciding vote. And her voice was trembling in the interview after. She said, I just had to do the right thing and blah, blah, blah. Her voice was trembling. And then like later that night, she was murdered.
Yep.
Okay. Her and her husband. The guy who did it, he was an intern under Tim Walz.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Walz and all those other idiots were probably making millions of dollars. And that vote probably cost them a lot of money. Who's to say that allegedly that he put the hit out to take out that lawmaker, to take out that political stalwart who stood up for what was right and not what was right for the left?
Well, they're too
She was murdered.
They're too stupid to do that, but that's another, But
We don't
anyway,
know
hey,
that-
we got to go,
does that-
my man, because it's news
Sure
time.
thing.
Bacardo Jewelers
Yeah.
Watch tells me 11:01. Thanks, Max. Appreciate it, brother. We got to take our break. We got to hear the news, and we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. 11:08 and change on my Picardo Jewelers watch. This beautiful Monday, December 29th, year of our Lord 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. It's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man John Basiliga and his Great Eastern Roofing Systems, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we salute today, whom we lost this year, like David Maroney, Main Line, Philadelphia, Louis Febo, Old Forge, Edward Dudek, Hazleton, Donald Olsemer, Sterling, Robert McCreary, Orangeville, and Spencer Vincent, Hughesville. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our commitment to common sense will provide, for the balance of this hour, a sanctuary of sanity for all of you. We promise. Bob Cordaro back. Oh, Lord, this Minnesota thing, and by the way, it goes beyond Minnesota. Somebody had texted in earlier. They said, well, what about Pennsylvania? Well, do you know that our governor, the phony fraud that he is, Shapiro, he will not allow them to audit our food stamp and other welfare programs in Pennsylvania. He wants illegals and others to get government benefits, period. To steal government benefits. That's what they want. Because it buys them their support. That's what happened in Minnesota. These people are crazy. Please don't think it's you. It is them. Well, when I want to make sense of things, especially football, I turn to my man, Chet Parlavecchio, because not only did he dance to this song on Dancing with the Stars, not only is he a New Jersey State Hall of Famer as a coach, not only did he star for Penn State, not only did he star for the Green Bay Packers, not only did he coach in the NFL, our man Chester's just a great guy. And here he is, Chet Parlavecchio, the Monday Mensch.
Hey, you don't know I got killed with that all week long. And in an Italian neighborhood, everybody's going, "What? Who is that? What does that mean?"
Well, I thought Pisano. I like alliteration. I've always liked alliteration.
Like I said, you got one that stuck. All right. All right, partner. It was very interesting. You know, Bobby, when we started this, we said we're going to talk about football in different aspects, not just quoting scores and yards and all that stuff. That can be done anywhere, anytime. You want to take advantage of the experience and what kids might be thinking or administrations might be doing or professional level, what guys are thinking. And I'll tell you what, being in the middle of the bowl season, something really struck me, and I felt I had to share it on the show. It was a weird thing. I'm watching the Penn State-Clemson game, and I preface by saying, your show has always been big, at least for what I can hear, on traditions and values. Yep. And to me, that means everything. Well, as a football player, former football player and football coach, I'm big on traditions and values. I probably came from I'm a byproduct of the greatest man of tradition ever in Joe Paterno. So, you know, I'm a byproduct of the way I was taught. And it was a funny thing. When I heard that 33 guys opted out of the Penn State game, I really was disheartened.
I'm so happy you brought that up.
Oh, I mean, a bunch of them are not, you know, whether it's a transfer portal or whether it being thinking they're going to be professionals, which, by the way, if you look through the entire bowl season so far, there's been, maybe 2 or 3 decent games worth watching. The level of play looks like a bad spring game, just like I told you it would be. And it's a funny thing. I got to a point where I said, if I add up all the players in each one of these games, they're telling me are opting out. It's more than there are draft picks.
Yeah.
Everybody must think they're going to be a pro. I never saw such a quality country in my life where every guy on the college team thinks he's going to be a pro. There's more guys opting out for that than there are spots available. But that being said, now in the same token, again, the feeling of wearing that uniform for me, for the last time, walking out of that tunnel in Arizona in the Fiesta Bowl with my teammates and my senior teammates, buddies of mine to this day, walking out of that tunnel, It never dawned on me that I would sit that game out or not respect my university. And I guess we're to a point where the obligation to teammates and for sure the obligation to the university is gone. It's about me, and that's what's important first. So before we go on and talk about some of these games, that has to be understood. And that, to me, is a very, very sad dialogue considering the bowl season and considering college football.
And Chet, don't you think, and so many of your teammates, including yourself, were going to the NFL, you wouldn't even consider it.
I had 13 guys. 13 guys my senior year got drafted. Not one of us would ever, unless you broke our legs, there was no way we weren't coming out and playing for Penn State for the last time.
Yeah.
And I remember what it meant to us, and I remember after the game, guys were in tears in the locker room after, knowing that was the last time you were going to take that jersey off, put that jersey on. And I guess that's gone. Those obligations are gone. You got guys now that have played for 4 schools in 4 years. They could care less about the university and obviously can care less about their teammates. And that's what's disheartening. Yeah. But that being said, what an effort by Penn State. You talk about one man's soup is another man's gumbo. These guys, you had some opportunities. Yeah, one guy had an opportunity. These young players came out. You had some freshman performances that were really, really well done. The kid, what's his name? Quentin Martin rushed for over 100 yards. These 2 tight ends. I'll tell you one thing, Penn State puts tight end after tight end out. The kid Rapalea and the kid Reynolds, 2 big, good-looking tight ends. So, again, 2 more freshmen. The kid Grunkemeyer, to me, I love the kid. I think he got better with each start from the day that whatchamacall went down, Juwaller went down. This kid has gotten better and better and better. I think Penn State's quarterback situation for the next 2 years is in good hands. So there's a bunch of young talent there, and it's always nice to beat a Dabo Swinney team, Clemson. I don't care who the hell they had playing. I just like beating them. It was a really nice win for Penn State. On the other token, you had Pitt down the street. Pitt had a rough day. Again, turnovers lose football games. The young freshman quarterback, Heinrich, he did the best he could. He was fighting. But when you turn the ball over 5 times, it shows me that your mind really isn't into the game and that you're not there to play. And by the time they decided to play, the cow's already out of the barn and the game is over. Big win for East Carolina, not a very good performance for Pitt. And then around the country, I mean, if there was some nice stories, you had Virginia, with 11 wins. That's a big, what a nice, opportunity. What a great job by them to get 11 wins, beat a real good Missouri team, going to the SEC and beat them. That's a nice quality win for Virginia. I think they got a lot to be proud of. Georgia Tech, I'll tell you, I got to give this. The kid Hines King, say what you want, he played. He was there with his teammates for the last time, and he played. This is a kid now that has set all the records at Georgia Tech, played hard game in and game out, was a Heisman Trophy nomination or candidate. He to me, for a while there, probably was the front runner for the Heisman. At the end the season he faded a bit. The amount of carries and things he had to do, Bobby, I'm sure he was exhausted. But what a credit to him to gut it out with his teammates and end his career in a Georgia Tech uniform representing Georgia Tech. And then Army, what a great job. I mean, Army's, hey, you don't have to worry about anybody opting out there because they're never going to sell their teammate down because they're not going to sell their fellow soldier out for nobody. Everybody there is going to play. They rushed for almost 500 yards, beat UConn, did what Army does, just never quit, played hard. Everybody played. So really nice kudos to Army and the job they did in the bowl season. And that's where it takes us. This week we're going to have the playoffs. and we'll deal with them when we get back to it on the other side. So that's pretty much the college wrap-up.
All right, well, we're going to take a break. Chet Parlavecchio, our man, the Monday Mensch. We're going to take a break and be back with Chester after this. Lawrence Naismith, December the 25th from the movie Scrooge with Albert Finney, my favorite Christmas movie. I mean, that's better than The Grinch to me. Charlie Brown, all of that. The Albert Finney version of Scrooge. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. We've got our man Chet Parlavecchio, the Monday Mensch, with us. And we move on to NFL. I thought a good weekend, fun weekend of watching.
Oh, it's getting, something, Bobby, it's getting, again, we've been saying it throughout the year. It's so wide open. It's so hard to get a read on anybody. One week you think somebody looks tremendous, the next week, and right here, again, we always approach our locals first. There are some interesting stories here with the locals. I mean, you talk about the Jets and New England. Now you say to me, what the hell could be interesting about the Jets, which I thoroughly agree. That's not what's interesting. What's interesting was the fella from New England on the other side, Drake May. You're talking about a kid that's emerging now as probably the front runner for the MVP of the National Football League. This kid has really come on, and it's amazing. You had a Tom Brady there for so long and won championships and were the cream of the National Football League. You figure somewhere in there you're going to lose a beat. You know something, pal? They got their quarterback for the next 10 years. I mean, that team's going to be good for a long time. That kid is really developing into something special. 5 touchdown passes yesterday, and he did it effortless. He did it effortlessly. Which against the Jets, that's not hard. I mean, you could connect for a touchdown against them, but I mean, the bottom line is he did what he had to do. And as far as the Jets situation goes, there's really nothing to say. It's just a team that's waiting for the end of the season. I said to my buddy the other day, I said, something? I thought I had the record. How at the end of a high school year, you got to collect the uniforms at the end? Well, we took a clinker at the end of my last year, and I said, I want every coach at every station. I want every knee pad, shoulder pad. I want it done in record time. We did it in 14 minutes, which was tremendous. I think the Jets are going to beat me. They're going to collect them faster. So now we go to the Giants. Jackson Dart had a nice day in a completely meaningless game. Again, 2 teams playing out the string. I mean, there's really just not much to say about that. It seemed Dart was consistent. He played well, but again, nothing special about the game. Now we get to 2 things that were special on your side of the border. Now let's go with Pittsburgh first. You think maybe DK Metcalf could think about punching the guy in the stands? You think maybe you hurt your football team a little bit? What do you think?
Yeah.
You think maybe if you played, there's one play in you that would have been the difference in you winning the division or not? Isn't it funny how things come back to bite you in the butt? I mean, Pittsburgh is an anomaly to me. There are times I really think he's got them looking like an Aaron Rodgers team, and then there's times they play so lackadaisical. That was truly a game that neither team wanted to win. And don't tell me it was wonderful defense. It wasn't. It was just they both. And for Pittsburgh to have so much at stake to come out and go to Cleveland and play like that, and you would think Aaron Rodgers would be saying to himself, "I only got X amount of these left in me. Here's my time. I got a shot here to win the division." Now I create a situation where I got a playoff game literally with Baltimore because Baltimore spanked Green Bay. Looks like to me Henry's starting to maybe Baltimore's finally figuring out if you give the ball to Derrick Henry, everything else opens up. He rushes for 260, and they spank Green Bay, and now you put yourself in a situation where literally the playoffs start for you next week. And quite frankly, I have no idea what's going to show up with that team. Yeah. They are so inconsistent. That's the word to describe the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can they beat them? Of course they can. Can they lose to them? Of course they can. Same thing on the other side. The only thing working for them on that, Baltimore's the same anomaly. You don't know what to expect from them. I mean, Huntley was their quarterback this week, and they said, hey, listen, we're going to take the game out of his hands, put it in Derrick Henry. Geez, maybe we got something here. So if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm concerned about that. So that'll be interesting. And then you go to Philadelphia. The offense, again, disappeared in the second half, literally negative yardage. I mean, you're sitting there, Buffalo being, and he misses a throw at the end for that 2 points, which he just doesn't miss. No. That's just a moment in time. I mean,
5 yards wide. It's odd.
Exactly. He doesn't miss that. That was a 1 in a million shot. By all intents and purposes, you probably should have lost that game. But that's sort of in a microcosm what you're going to see with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's a Vic Fangio defense. And for the majority of that football game, they were stymieing Buffalo. They sacked him 5 times. They really were in Buffalo's head. And as long as you have a defense like that, Bobby, you have a chance. Again, they're not a team I want to play. Now Jalen Carter he looked like he's back. Defensively, that's a Vic Fangio system. Bend but don't break. Play a deep zone, play a 2 shell from the 20 to the 20, and then hopefully inside the 20 he starts to come with the pressure. So like I said, Nice win for Philadelphia. They hung on. Big win for them. There's still a scary out when the playoffs come. And like I said, I wouldn't want to have to play him. Now, around the league, the rest of the way, again, you got the Bucks and Carolina, both lost, so both make it a big game. That's a playoff game this week for that division. I think Tampa Bay is on the fade. They just really, I don't know what happened there. They really look like they're struggling. Carolina played arguably one of the top 3 teams in football in Seattle. They hung in there tough. But bottom line is both of them lost, which kept it alive for a big finale between the Bucks and Carolina. Then you go to San Francisco and Chicago. That was an awesome football game. And let me tell you something. I said this to you early in the preseason. I said it to many of my buddies around here, especially my cigar joint. I said, Caleb Williams is going to be a good quarterback. He let him play in the preseason, and I'm watching him in the preseason, which is rare. You normally can let your starting quarterback play in the preseason, but you had a new head coach, and he needs to see the hand that he was dealt. And let me tell you something. You could see the change in him then. He's now becoming an NFL quarterback. He is not just an athlete. He's not Justin Fields. He's not an athlete running around. He understands what's being done. He is an NFL quarterback right now. And the other side of that game was Purdy. Again, what an athlete he is. 6-0 since he came back. And I have to say this, Bobby, around the NFL, one of the most incredible stories is the San Francisco 49ers. You on defense take Bosa and Fred Warner away from that defense. Kittle's been out, Pearsall's been out, McCaffrey's been out, and Purdy's been out half the season. And Shanahan does an incredible job. You talk about the word culture, what culture means, that's culture. That's a next man up attitude. That's just not words. They believe that in San Francisco. And to see they have the possibility to have the number 1 seed overall, which means if they win this week, there's a good possibility they don't have to get in a plane again. Let me tell you something, pal. That's a huge advantage. And then the last two, like I said, you had the Texans. Again, defensively, they're a team coming on. Do they do enough offensively? Stroud's okay, but they do enough okay. They're coming on a little bit. I like their defense. They're playing with a lot of confidence. But right now, like I said, the story to me is what they've done in San Francisco up to this date. Their ability, and this week will just be for positioning for the most part, other than the Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and the Tampa Bay, Carolina thing. It'll be for positioning, which can be a huge effect. And that's around the NFL this week.
It was a great weekend of football. It really was.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, why does that guy turn around?
Yeah. So I asked Chet during the. I don't know if many of you have noticed. I'm watching the NFL. Now I'm very familiar with line calls and all that kind of thing, but I've been noticing more this year. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention last year. One of the offensive guards, usually the right guard, will turn around and look at the quarterback. Yep. And so I sent a note to Chet. I said, Chet, tell us what is that?
Well, again, for 1,000 years, it was the center that identified the mic. And when you identify the mic, you set the protection. Which way are we sliding? We sliding left, we sliding right. So he's identifying the mic, setting the protection. Now, I noticed what you noticed. I've been seeing a lot of guards looking back.
Yeah.
And I am not sure if they maybe just gave that role to the guards. You're right. I saw it a number of times, and I don't know. That was normally the center's job. He'll come to the line and say, 55's the mic, 55's the mic. Now, I agree.
Meaning the strong linebacker.
The middle linebacker.
Yeah.
The middle linebacker. So that'll identify which side they're going to slide to. Now, the guard doing that looking back, I don't know, maybe that has to do with the sound in the stadium as far as the count. I don't know. Why the guard was reaching back like that, I'm going to be truthful honest with you. I don't know. I'm going to call Muncher and ask him that, you believe it or not.
Yeah, we got to find out. And the other the thing, I just remember in my day, which is ancient history, the center would make the initial line call. The tackles would have a responding line call.
Yeah, but when you played, you used to go to the line. The quarterback would say, "You set," and you'd go, "You bet." You were still doing "you set, you bet."
Well, I always say, so my college career was like Rudy, only that one play I got in, I didn't make the tackle.
Well, I mean, you go up to the offensive line, and you guys were putting all your hands up like to get fingertips apart. So you had the facing line.
All right, so Chester, you got an assignment. Now, we're off next week. We're off next Monday, which is sort of a critical Monday, but I'm going to be gone. So the 12th is we've got to have an answer for that line call deal.
No, I want to know myself why the guard's reaching back, but we'll find out. Like I said, maybe he's set in the front. I don't know. Listen, have a great week. I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, which should bring us to the playoffs.
We'll be in the thick of everything then. Chet
All right,
Parlavecchio, the Monday Mensch. Thank you, man.
Bye, brother.
All right. We'll take a break and be back with our Veterans Tribute, the weather, and more. You can reach me at 570-883-0098. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour. This day and every day brought to you by our friend John Basiliga, who loves our troops, loves our veterans. Today we feature his first company and his biggest company, Eastern Roofing Systems. Headquartered in Jessup, they're the largest institutional and commercial roofer in the eastern United States. But guess what? They bring all that expertise, that buying power to you in Northeast PA within sound of my voice, because they'll do it here. Eastern Roofing Systems. Robert McCreary, Navy veteran, who loved jigsaw puzzles. He was 90. He was from Orangeville. We lost him November 26th. Born in Bloomsburg. He was a graduate of Bloomsburg High School, class of 1953. He served honorably in the U.S. Navy, 52 to 56, during the Korean War. For nearly 20 years, he was employed at Bloomsburg Craftsman and retired from Payne Printery in Dallas, Pennsylvania. He loved jigsaw puzzles. He loved crossword puzzles and loved spending time with his family. In 1957, he married his beloved wife, Lois Kaiser McCreary. Together, they raised 3 children and welcomed grandchildren and great-grandchildren. She passed in 2020. He missed her dearly. He'll be sadly missed by his own children. 4 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, a sister, nieces, nephews. Robert McCreary. Spencer Vincent, businessman who helped build Mill Race Golf Course. He was 85. He was from Hughesville when we lost him December 6th. Formerly of Benton, he was born in Danville. While growing up, he worked his parents' well-known butcher shop and grocery store on the backside of their property near the high school. He attended Benton area schools and graduated with the class of 58. After graduation, he enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps, honorably discharged as a corporal in 1962. He served in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and U.S. Marine Corps Headquarters, Arlington, Virginia, a proud Marine Corps heritage, and supported many USMC fundraisers. When he returned to Benton, he purchased and operated the popular Cozy Corner restaurant. He also worked at Benton Peat Bog on Zaner's Bridge Road near Bendertown. He eventually sold Cozy Corner and went to work full-time for his brother Robert in the construction of golf course. For the next 20 years, the brothers built or refurbished more than 25 golf courses in the Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey region, finishing up with the construction of Mill Race Golf Course and Camping Resort in Benton. He also worked for LaBar Industries as director of maintenance and special projects. He started a wicker business called the Veranda House and later Ye Old Basket Shop. He continued to be involved in business until failing health forced him to retire in 2011. Member of the American Legion, Highland Lake, the JCs, the U.S. Marine Corps League. Survived by his wife of 26 years, the former Marianne Rhine Proof of Hughesville. He's survived by 5 children from his previous marriage to Martha Semos. They had 6 grandchildren for him and 12 great-grandchildren. Spencer Blue Vincent. Our great venturers this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Well, it's winter, New Year's weekend, and a nice long one coming up, and they're ready for you. And that's Montage Mountain right in Scranton. You could see it, and they're bringing us your weather. From Channel 16 and meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, cloudy, rainy, and mild, high 48. Then temperatures drop through the 30s during the afternoon. Tonight, cloudy and breezy with a chance of snow showers, 21. Tuesday, cloudy and breezy with a chance of snow showers, 28. Wednesday, New Year's Eve day, cloudy with snow showers late in the afternoon into the evening, high 30. Thursday, New Year's Day, colder with scattered snow showers, 23 degrees. Our weather brought to you by Montage Mountain Resorts. Murph tells us that's Alexandra Burke. Hallelujah, from 2008. She was an X Factor winner. Bob Cordaro back with you. And that was Jeff Allen with observations on life that are frighteningly true. Let's get this. Speaking of frighteningly true, our man Clive from Mountaintop. Clive, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well, Bob. I just want to talk some about this so-called peace deal.
I don't know why Trump oversells this stuff. Wasn't the greatest conversation with Vladimir Putin ever. And I mean, I love the guy, but we've heard this show before.
He's being played and snookered yet again. And nothing's going to.
I look at it this way, Clive. I think he's had a tradition of overselling in business and otherwise, and he's just doing more of it, willing something to happen that probably isn't.
Well, he's had this long-standing affinity for Putin, as I call him, and I just don't understand it. You know, there's only two outcomes to this war. One is Putin is deposed and or assassinated. That would end the war tomorrow. Or eventually Ukraine is going to succumb. And I got a chuckle. I came out of my seat on the sofa, recliner actually yesterday, when Trump said that Putin told him, I'm trying to think how it was phrased, he wants the best for Ukraine. Give me a break.
I'm sure he does.
This man, yeah, as long as there's a Russian flag flying over Kiev,
yes,
this guy is a war criminal. He's committing crimes against humanity. You know, we bombed those in Nigeria who were killing Christians in Nigeria. How about we do something about the people who are killing the Christians in Ukraine? It's the same bottom line, the same end result. And, you know, you have Europe, NATO, the European Union just wringing their hands. Oh, this is terrible. What can we do? Granted, they're giving arms to Ukraine, and that's the only thing that's sustaining Ukraine. But how foolish is Trump to think that this guy wants peace?
I don't think he's being played at all, Clive. I think he's trying to will this into existence where logic tells you it can't.
Right. Logic tells you it can't is right. So I don't see why he's even wasting his time. You know, it's going to go on, and I feel for the people of Ukraine. Then you have this nut job Putin saying, I didn't start this war. Did you read that?
No.
Give me a break.
Yeah. Crazy stuff.
It is crazy stuff. It just goes on, and there's no end in sight, sadly, and the Ukraine people are paying the price. But so
I think one
military.
thing we can agree on, because we've got to go, but one thing we can agree on is that if Biden wasn't the president, this would not have happened.
It never would have happened. Never would have happened. Sadly, that takes us to where we're at, Bob.
Yep, I know it. Hey, Clive, thank you, my man. Appreciate it always.
Sure, Bob.
All right. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We're going to play one more stanky, the Babushka Polka. And a friend of the show, our man John Wagner, tells us about the book that led to the song we played in the 10 o'clock hour, Apple, Peaches, Pumpkin, and Pie. We lost our man John Stankovic on Christmas Day. We'll be back. Frank Stanky Stankovic. We lost him Christmas Day. And our man John Wagner lets me know there was a book written about Stanky's life, co-authored by Bill Wagner with Stanky after many sit-down interviews. When the book was finally complete, they didn't know what to call it. So after reading it, his brother Bill's granddaughter, Megan Petoskey, suggested they call it Apple Peaches Pumpkin Pie. And that's where the name of the book came from. And I can't tell if it's available or unavailable on Amazon, but Apple Peaches Pumpkin Pie and the great Stanky. Oh, Lord. Hey, we're going to finish today with Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra from 1970 on the Dean Martin Show. Auld Lang Syne. And Bulldog, we might as well do it tomorrow, too, don't you think? Huh? You're not going to be here Wednesday. I'm not going to be here Wednesday. Anyway, Bob Cordaro wrapping things up here. And just a final mention of our great veterans brought to you by John Basiliga. David Maroney. He of the main line of Philadelphia, but he had relatives here and family here. Louis Febo, Old Forge. Edward Dudek, Hazleton. Donald Olsemer, Sterling. Spencer Vincent, Hughesville. And Robert McCreary, Orangeville. Our great veterans brought to you by John Basiliga and Eastern Roofing Systems. Somebody texted this in. I can't verify it at the moment, but traffic note, water main break in the 2100 block of Pittston Avenue in the south side of Scranton. By the way, somebody else texted in. Could not agree more with Chet Parlavecchio. Tradition and loyalty to your teammates is out the window. This listener, he played high school and college ball and couldn't imagine walking out on your teammates for a game. It's insane. It's insane. Slick was checking and he says he can't believe somebody hasn't been deported. But now they have been prosecuted, Slick. So they have been prosecuted for this fraud. I want the Democrat politicians who facilitated it to be prosecuted. If you don't think half of your government spending and your government is wasted, then you haven't been following truth and reality. You just haven't. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Anyway, so we'll be here tomorrow, God willing. We've got to stop this rain because I want, well, see, here's the thing about Montage Mountain. They'll have conditions where they have to be for this big, big holiday weekend. They'll have conditions where they have to be, and the weather's going to cooperate after today. 45 degrees out there now, and still a little drizzly, but good stuff as we approach New Year's Eve and the New Year's weekend at Montage Mountain, our new weather sponsor. We love them. And I'm telling you, you go up there, it's a transporting experience. You think you're somewhere else. You really do. You think you're in, I don't even know where, but just somewhere great. It's got a feel to it. They've got constant activity, music, great bar, the whole package. And, of course, skiing, snowboarding, snow tubing, all that. Montage Mountain. Well, we'll let Frank and Dean wrap it up for us as we approach New Year's Day and the new year. So for now, we will gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. And God willing, I'll be with you tomorrow.